Hey guys, and welcome back to my countdown to Endgame. We are less than a week from Endgame being released. I am so excited, and I am almost done with this countdown, which I'm just as excited about. And today is a movie I'm talking about that I've been waiting for them to make since I was a kid. Doctor Strange, released in 2016. When growing up with comic books, this was one character that really stuck out to me. He was so interesting, weird, and just out there, and his comic books, especially with the illustrations, were so psychedelic and colorful and just seemed like nothing I've ever seen before. And I think the reason why I also loved him so much is because it dealt with magic and mysticism, stuff we didn't really get to see with the other heroes that are especially in our MCU now. This is the first time we're seeing this whole world into other dimensions and the use of magic and sorcery. The movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, his first time playing the role. The guy knocks it out of the park as Doctor Strange. He's a British actor, but he pulls it off as an American, and his looks are so close to how he looked in the comic books. And speaking of his looks, my fun fact for this movie was that when Stan Lee was creating Doctor Strange, he modeled the look after Vincent Price. And some of you may know this actor from movies of the 1950s, mainly horror, like The Fly and The Raven. Aside from Cumberbatch, the cast also includes Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, Tilda Swinton, Mads Mikkelsen, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this name, Chatwell Edgewoodford. I know I butchered that. Now, this is an origin story of Doctor Strange and how he became the Sorcerer Supreme. It kind of reflects the Iron Man storyline on how someone can be so arrogant and conceited and then end up being that noble hero that wants to save others, not just caring about themselves. But here we are, Doctor Strange is a successful surgeon. He's very egotistical and he cares about nothing but himself. And one night, while he's driving, he gets into a car accident, damaging his hands, unable to perform any surgery. Later finding out about someone called the Ancient One in Nepal, traveling over there to get more answers, to get the use of his hands back, but instead gets introduced to this world of mysticism and sorcery and becomes the next Sorcerer Supreme. The reason why I like this movie so much isn't really because of the storyline. It's alright, but it's very basic and nothing new here. It's just a path of redemption for this character, an origin story. What makes it great is how we're introduced to this entirely new world of sorcery and magic, and the visuals are amazing. The special effects, I think it's one of the best we've seen in recent MCU movies. And my favorite scene of this entire movie, and I think some people will agree, is when he's first introduced to the multiverse.
Worlds without end. Some benevolent and life-giving. Others filled with malice and hunger. Dark places where powers older than time lie, ravenous and waiting.
I can watch that scene thousands of times and still not get tired of it. There are two things I wish they would have changed about this movie. One was that some of the actors in this film, I wish they had bigger roles, such as Rachel McAdams. She's a big star, but it seemed like her role was very minimal in this movie. She seemed like a side character. And with Mads Mikkelsen, he had a bigger role than she did, but I felt like his role was kind of useless in a way because he ends up working for Dormammu, which is the main villain in this movie. And this goes into my second thing I wish they would have changed. Mads Mikkelsen would have been great to stay in this movie, but it would have been nice to have Dormammu introduced much earlier in the film because he doesn't get introduced till like the last 15 minutes of this movie. And this is like Doctor Strange's main villain, just like with Captain America, it's Red Skull. With Hulk, it's Abomination. Everyone has their own villain. With Doctor Strange, it's Dormammu. And I just felt like he was kind of wasted away in this movie, so I'm hoping in a future sequel we'll see him again. And how does this movie connect to the MCU and Endgame? Well, we're introduced to another Infinity Stone, the Time Stone, but to them it's known as the Eye of Agamotto. This is something sacred to the sorcerers, something that they're made to protect. And you see Doctor Strange using this to his advantage with Dormammu towards the end of the movie.
Just as you gave Caecilius powers from your dimension, I brought a little power from mine. This is time. Endless, looped time.
And then there's that post-credit scene, which is pretty much a sneak peek to Thor Ragnarok.
We're looking for my father.
Oh, okay. So if you found Odin, you'd all return to Asgard promptly.
Oh yes, promptly.
Great. Allow me to help you.
I love this movie. I can never get tired of it. It's something I can watch over and over again just for the visual feast of it, and the acting is fantastic. This is a movie that I feel it's a bit underrated out of all the movies in the MCU, especially the recent ones that people just forgot about, or they either hate it or they love it. So it's pretty divided with this movie, but I cannot wait for the sequel, to say the least. We're not going to get it for another 2 years. It's already overdue for another sequel, so can't wait to have Doctor Strange having his own movie again. But tell me in the comments below if you like Doctor Strange or not, if it's in your top 5 of the favorite MCU movies. Don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Tune in next time. My next video will be Spider-Man Homecoming, since I already talked about Guardians Volume 2. So I hope you look forward to that. Have a good week. I'll see you at the movies.